Hi Floss Tubers, it's Belinda here. I'm back again after taking a couple of weeks break. I've been stitching and have completed one of the projects I was working on when I last talked to you all. But it's also been a fairly low energy couple of weeks for me. I've been working really hard, coming home and being so wiped out I haven't even been able to read or cross stitch. I've basically just surfed my phone. That's a sad reality. I don't like it when my days end up like that. But anyway, I'm feeling energetic and I thought I need to get back on here and update everyone. First of all, thank you to all the people subscribing. It's nice to know that there are other people out there who feel like we have something in common. So I really do appreciate everyone's kind comments and liking the station and subscribing, so thank you for that. The last time I talked with you all, I was working on the Estacop sampler. Well, I finished it and I'm going to hold it up. First of all though, I know it's shiny, I'm not going to bother to get it out of the packet again. For those of you who haven't seen my previous videos, this is what the chart pack looked like. It's the Estacop sampler, which is of 1765. It's in the Smithsonian, the actual original sampler, and it's a bestseller design. I changed everything out in the sense that I have stitched this on reproduction linen. I have stitched it on over-dyed linen rather than the Aida cloth, and I stitched this on 36 count. It's either Legacy or Vintage Light Exemplar, I should say, get it right the umpteenth time. So here is, I better hold it back a little bit. Here is the finished product. So I'll try and get the whole thing in. I decided to change the two little areas of wording slightly. I left out some an outline that goes around the whole thing because I don't want to be upset when I go to frame this and see any kind of zigzag in my design the way I lace it onto some mat board. So I decided to leave the straight lines out that go around a couple of other sections as well, but I was mostly concerned about the outline. I'll put a close up there so you can see some of the detail. I'm happy with it. Colours are beautiful, and I'm looking forward to framing this. I think I have a frame that will work for it, so I will one of these days get that framed and then show that to you. In the time that I have been stitching, I decided to finish something that was almost completed that I started a couple of years ago. It's a design by the Work Basket. It came as a kit with the special linen with a red thread in it. I think it's a gingham type linen, and it uses one colour of thread. It's a silk. I believe it's cranberry. So this is almost completed. I just have to finish the remainder of the alphabet, W, X, Y, and Z at the bottom. You can see I started stitching this in 2016. Well, I'm going to remove that 6 and put an 8 there, since I'm completing this in 2018. And I'm going to give this to my dad, so I'm going to frame it and then give it to my dad for his birthday later this month. He really liked the design. He's a typical Kiwi bloke. He doesn't have a lot of artwork on his walls. He doesn't see it as necessary to spend money on that sort of thing. So actually when I go to his house, he lives right next door, he has a lot of framed bits and pieces that we used to hang on the walls in the house where I grew up. So it's really old, a lot of the artwork that he has on the walls, and some of it's fallen apart, so he needs a couple of new things. And I think he really likes the simplicity and clarity of this design. So he seemed quite excited when I said that I would give that to him. So that's good. I look forward to giving that to Dad. I thought I'd share with you something rather special. I've always wanted to have an antique sampler. And last year, my husband surprised me. He bid on an auction for something I'd told him that I was looking at. You know, usually antique samplers go for a lot of money, and this just seemed like one occasion where it really wasn't very expensive. For some reason, no one was bidding on this lovely old sampler, of which I have a whole history on. I know the glass provides a real glare. I'll see if I can hold it on an angle and you can see it better. So it's an Adam and Eve sampler, and I really, really love Adam and Eve samplers. My goal is to have an entire wall with just samplers featuring Adam and Eve on them. So there'll be samplers that I've stitched myself, reproductions. I have this one on display standing on an easel. So it's a lovely old looking black wrought iron easel, and I just love it. It's lovely to have on display. It was stitched by Sarah Elizabeth Richer, and the seller on eBay actually included a full genealogical record of Sarah Richer. She was born in 1851 in Rattlesden, Suffolk. The sampler actually does state that it has Sarah stitched her name, Sarah E. Richer, aged 8, and then it says Rattlesden. But somebody bothered to do the research on, the genealogical research on Sarah. We know that when she married, and it seems as though she had 3 children. There's a whole history of her that came with the sampler. It was attached to the back of the sampler. So I'll show you what came with it. This whole history of her. And then there's even copies from the 1841 census in England. And this comes off Ancestry.com. But there's pages and pages. I just think it was a lovely find. I think my husband paid around $100 for this sampler and this full history of this little girl. But there's many, many pages here. Which I love because I'm really interested in genealogy and history. So anyway, this little 8-year-old girl stitched this, and it looks like it's all stitched in silk. There are some stitches that have come away, you know, as a lot of them do with time, but the colours are so bright. I just love it. I really do love it. And I'm taking very good care of it. I think it's in the original frame. So there's the back. The frame's all banged up, but it's got a nice piece of glass in it. It has a few scratches, but again, I think it's all original. So that's a real treat. So that came all the way back from America to New Zealand with me when we visited the States over the last Christmas holidays. So that's something I've been meaning to show you all because I really do love it. What else did I have? Oh, I wanted to give you a sheep update. So we have finally got our sheep on order. I had a hard time finding some Gotland sheep here in New Zealand. Now, New Zealand's famous for having more sheep than people, many more sheep than people. I think the the saying is that there might be as many as 70 million sheep and only just under 5 million people. So anyway, I thought it wouldn't be so hard to find some Gotland sheep. Well, I was wrong. There are less than 2,000 of them in New Zealand. But there are, a few breeders all over, scattered around New Zealand, and I wanted to try and find some close by. With a little bit of hunting, I managed to find a breeder who is willing to part with some sheep. So on Saturday, and today's Monday, late in the afternoon, on Saturday we're heading up north a little bit to the Oxford Darfield area of the South Island, and we're picking up some sheep. We've got 3 ewes. They'll be 2-tooth, so they're about 2 to 3 years old, and each of the 3 ewes has 2 little lambs. So each of the 3 ewes had twins. Among the 6 lambs that we're getting, 2 are ram lambs, the other 4 are ewe lambs. We're also picking up a hogget. That's a 1-year-old ewe. She will be joining us, so we'll be coming back with the 4 ewes and 6 lambs. Then at a later date we're going to go and pick up a ram lamb that is not related to any of the ewes or lambs that I've just talked about, and from which we'll be able to breed next year. So we will have quite the little flock of Gotland sheep. The lambs are always born black, so they'll be absolutely adorable. The sheep, as they mature, the wool tends to turn in different colours according to the sheep, but they range from black to silver in colour. They're highly regarded for their wool, and the wool is very, very fine. It should be lovely to spin and knit with, so I'm looking forward to that. I believe the Gotland sheep are available in the United States too, so for some of you who are listening in the United States, you may be familiar with the breed. So I'm really looking forward to being surrounded by sheep again, after growing up on the sheep farm and not being around sheep for the past 30 years, sort of getting back to my roots even more so. And these sheep are going to be my husband's sheep, so he's predominantly going to be the one who's looking after them. We've bought sheep nuts, they're like pellets, to feed them, and he's going to hand feed them every day, just a handful of them. They should be quite tame, and I'm really, really excited, so looking forward to that. So that's the sheep update. Pearl, who you all met last video, she's unavailable today. She seems to be a little bit busy, so I couldn't include her in today's video. She's out keeping Dad company. For those of you who don't know Pearl, you might want to watch my previous video. And no, I'm not talking about a human. I wanted to give you a little snippet of what I've been enjoying reading, and it looks like I've just jolly well messed up my page. I had it marked. I'll see if I can find what I was going to read to you. I am a lover of poetry in particular, but I love mostly I love short stories, I love novels, I love plays, so I'm really fond of any good literature. And one of my favourite poets is Emily Dickinson. I have the complete collection of her poems. I also have a beautiful edition of her photographs from her, of her poems that were printed on the backs of envelopes. So Emily did like to write on just about any paper she had. Sometimes she just used an envelope and wrote a poem on it. I think a lot of those are housed in Massachusetts. I want to go and see them, so I really do want to go and see the collection that is there. That's on my list of things to do. Oh gosh, I wish I could find this little excerpt from a letter that she wrote. I have a lot of letters that she exchanged with people, whether it be her best friend or her brother. She wrote a lot of letters, and they are fun to read. I don't know how quickly I can find this, and I don't want to keep everyone waiting. It's so frustrating. I pulled the ribbon out. One more attempt, and then I'll probably just have to hold it for another time if I can't find it in this book. But what it was about was, she was writing about the sheer pleasure and simplicity of living. So for her, just to exist was, I think she described it as ecstasy, or pure ecstasy. And I love her impassioned outlook. I am the sort of person who, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to love doing it, and I'm going to give it all of my effort. I do get very impassioned myself. I believe wholeheartedly in spending our days carefully to do what we love, and to do it with all our might. So I wanted to read to you something that Emily had to say that really spoke to me, and I can't find it. So I'll have to save it for another video. I'm sorry about that, and I'm sorry about keeping you all dangling while I was trying to find something wonderful in this dear little book of Emily Dickinson's letters. I'll look for it next time. So I'm just going to make this really short because it's just an update. I haven't been doing a whole lot of stitching. I've been doing an awful lot of reading and resting. But anyway, I hope you're all safe and happy and well, and I look forward to any more comments that you may kindly make on here. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Keep stitching, and remember, magpies and me. Bye.